Melissa Santiago was 19 years old. She had graduated high school honors, and she was on track to go to college. But there was one problem. She had a 2-year-old son, and she was with her boyfriend of 7 years. She didn't want to get an abortion, but she also knew that having a second child would make it harder for her to get into college and have a career in her life. Her boyfriend further pressured her, and in fear of being left as a single mother, she decided to get an abortion. Immediately, she knew that she made the wrong decision, and for the next 5 years, she struggled with depression and suicidal thoughts. I found that story from Illinois Public Media, and that is why today I will be debating the following. Resolved, the U.S. government should ban abortion after 6 weeks from conception. To start, I would like to define a few of my key terms. Abortion, using or prescribing instruments and medicine with the intent to end the life of an unborn baby. I would also like to clarify that medical instruments and medicine does not include birth control and/or oral contraceptives. I would also like to define conception, fertilization of the mother's egg by a male sperm. Now I'm going to explain the 4 stock issues of my argument. Harm. According to liveaction.org, every single day, Planned Parenthood aborts 2,363 unborn babies. Planned Parenthood themselves has admitted that they are responsible for 78% of abortions in the United States. Now you may be wondering, why would they come right out and admit that? Well, the reason is that as abortion is being pushed on more and more women, babies are viewed less and less as human beings. But according to Princeton University, human life begins after fertilization. Another problem with abortion is the mental health of the mother. While research cannot conduct a formal study on mental health after abortion, it is generally found that women who have abortions, planned or unplanned, have a higher rate of depression than those who don't. That's according to Guttmacher Institute. My second stock issue is significance. The significance of abortion is coming from our own politicians. The very people that we elected to run our country are currently fighting for the legalization of abortion. Kamala Harris, our vice president, is actively supporting the death of countless babies and was found to block a bill that would provide medical care for babies who survived failed abortions. She is actively trying to legislate late-term pregnancy and even infanticide. Alabama Senator Jones laughed when asked about the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act, and after being asked about his opinion on the matter, he said that the issue was stupid. Our very own Michigan Senator Peters has voted 100% pro-abortion since his time in office, according to Mississippi Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith. Currently, California is trying to legalize infanticide, which is the killing of a baby shortly after birth. According to California legislature information, Bill AB 2223 would legalize the murder of babies until up to 7 days after birth. 1.1 million every single year. The chances that at least one of those babies has the potential to change the world is very high. These babies could be the next president, senator, or world leader. And the decisions of our current leaders will leave this country potentially less equipped to handle future crises. As public officials continue to push their agenda to murder thousands of innocent babies every day, the need for action becomes more and more pressing. Now I will explain my third stock issue, inherency. According to CDC.gov, the Michigan Statistics website, in 2010, there were 765,561 abortions in the U.S. In 2017, the number rose to 862,300. That is an increase of almost 100,000. And the numbers are continuing to rise. According to BiomedCentral.com, the increase in abortion is caused by the decrease in education. The study found that as less women are being taught about the mental and health risks associated with abortion, more and more women are getting abortions. It was also found in the same study that women who had less general education were more likely to get an abortion as well. As this problem continues to become worse and worse, action becomes necessary. Which brings me to the fourth stock issue, solvency. In 2019, according to the Texas Health and Human Services Organization, there were 56,620 abortions in Texas. After the Texas Heartbeat Act was enacted, numbers declined by over 65% in the first month, according to National Public Radio. That would bring nationwide abortion numbers down to roughly 440,000 as opposed to 1.1 million every year. That's a significant decrease, and although it doesn't completely eliminate abortion, if it only saves one life, it would be worth it. As the issue of abortion becomes more and more prominent, a plan must be put in place to end the mass murder of millions of innocent babies every year. Here's my plan to help stop the aborting of innocent lives. The U.S. will immediately adopt the Texas Heartbeat Act, and the hope is to have all 50 states ratify the bill by the end of the year. The bill would not be enforced by public officials like government, military, or police. Instead, the bill would be enforced by private individuals who will be given the right to sue abortion clinics and women who choose to have illegal abortions. There are many reasons why this will work. First of all, I think we can all logically agree that banning something would drastically reduce the amount that it happens. Second, allowing private individuals to sue instead of public officials prevents the state and federal government from facing legal opposition. And three, despite the fact that we are limiting supplies, if there ever was an emergency where the mother's life was in danger, we would still have the ability to save her life. In the past 7 minutes, I have proved the following. Abortion is steadily increasing at a drastic rate. Pro-abortion legislature is proving to be a threat for millions of babies every single year. Mothers, fathers, and family members are all negatively affected by abortion. And the Texas Heartbeat Act has significantly reduced abortion numbers and has the potential to do the same thing nationwide. And now I will leave you with this. Are we willing to sit back and watch as millions of innocent human beings are slaughtered every year? My plan could save millions of lives, and one of those lives has the potential to change the world. Thank you.
Oh, I'm going? Okay. On September 22nd, 2021, a 30-year-old Polish woman named Isabella died of septic shock at the hospital after her unborn baby's heart stopped beating. Her death initiated waves of protests across Poland and was seen as a direct consequence of a near-total ban on abortion passed in 2021, which outlawed the termination of pregnancies even in the case of fetal defects. Under this new law, unlawful abortion could lead up to 8 years in prison. Terrified of the law and of its potential consequences, Isabella's doctor waited too long to terminate the pregnancy despite knowing the potential risk for the mother, resulting in her death. So resolved, the U.S. government should not change any current restriction on abortion, and I do not oppose the definitions of the terms my opponent has stated. There is harm, though, when abortion restrictions are lowered to the point of illegality. For example, in countries that do ban abortion or put harsh limitations on abortions, the rate of abortion is 37 out of 1,000 births, whereas in countries that allow abortion is at 33 of 1,000. Well, that's not a major difference. It's a slight rise in a country, but basically the same as in others. What needs to be considered, though, is how the abortions are being carried out. These operations are known as clandestine or unsafe abortions, particularly used by people who are unable to seek out travel or medical assistance. 25 million of these abortions take place every year worldwide. These abortions are able to result in the death of the baby, however, has a higher chance of killing the mother. The abortions are far more dangerous, having to seek out most likely untrained professionals. Should we take the actions of increasing restrictions, more harm will come than good. The significance of implementing restrictions on abortion is that harm will come to people. The right to have an abortion has been clearly shown and defended by the Human Rights Watch, the Center for Reproductive Rights, the National Institute of Public Health, and the Guttmacher Institute. The right for women to have an abortion up until the 24th week of pregnancy, which is when a fetus is officially able to survive outside a mother and becomes known as a human. While never being stated as a right under the Constitution, it does fall under the right to control one's very own body, and to the right that is never used against one's will and is one of the most fundamental rights there is. It is so fundamental that many aspects of it persist even after someone dies, based on their expressed wishes while alive. Putting restrictions would not be able to improve lives of the people, but rather worsen them, because once rights start to be limited, what other rights will stop from being prevented, such as gay right marriage and more. The inherency of this topic of abortion comes from the fact that people will claim abortion will continue to rise yearly. However, the CDC.gov and the Michigan Statistics website has shown that the years of 1997 to 2018, the abortion rates have decreased from 1,186,039 down to 619,591. That's over a 500,000 decrease in abortions. In both studies as well, have been able to show that abortion rates are in fact decreasing, not increasing, so there is no need to push for more limitations. For the reasons I have been previously mentioned, that abortion rates wouldn't lower, rather abortions become more dangerous, harm will come to human rights, and that abortion rates are continuously lowering each year, and there is no reason to change the current restrictions that are currently in place. Would you all, as a woman, be willing, though, to implement the restrictions that my opponent wishes to implement? and see all the consequences that will befall our society and potentially impact one of you. Approximately 1 in 4 women will seek an abortion in their life. So my opponent wants to implement a plan that most women make it so women at 6 weeks are unable to have an abortion. But most women at 6 weeks don't even know that they're pregnant. Even when most women know that they're pregnant, it is then going to become basically a person versus person. An individual is going to sue you for a reward of $100,000. That's going to divide the nation more. It went from being a government issue to then becoming a person versus person. And this also Texas Heartbeat Act has already been overthrown by the government. It has already been ruled out and is already not allowed to be permitted and implemented. So trying to pursue something that has already been refused is obnoxious. And considering that 42% of women that are looking for abortion are already below poverty level, are we going to let women become more and more, poor in their financial needs and then bring a child into that already bad situation? We are going to worsen the lives of people more than actually help them. Can I be done here? Okay.
Why not?
Are you ready?
Diamond has the time.
Are you
Nine,
ready?
whenever you're ready.
Come on.
Before I go into a thorough detail of my plan, I would like to counter a couple of the points my opponent made. First is the harm. CDC.gov has admitted that Planned Parenthood performs 2,363 abortions every single day, and if you multiply that by 365 days a year, that equals roughly 860,000 abortions every single year. And the numbers are usually higher than that or lower than that, but that's mostly the average. Second, he said that the significance is in the harm and that the harm comes from unsafe abortions. I'd like to argue that there is no such thing as an unsafe abortion. If an abortion always ends in the life of a baby, how can it be unsafe? How can it be safe if it always ends in the life of one baby? And while the mother's life may be put in danger, I would also like to specify that my plan does include special cases where the mother's life would be put above the baby's. Third, he said that a fetus does not become viable until 24 weeks, and that is when it's technically considered human. But I would also like to argue that life begins at conception. There are 6 characteristics that make up a life, and by the time that an egg is fertilized, a baby is able to do every single of those things. Fourth, I would like to argue that there are 4 pregnancy resource centers that offer completely free healthcare to pregnant women for every 1 abortion clinic in the United States. There are also 36 couples waiting to adopt per 1 child in the adoption system. There are many options for women out there who can't afford to support a baby after it's born. Now I will go into a thorough detail of my plan. As I said before, the U.S. will immediately adopt the Texas Heartbeat Act, and as my opponent said, it has already been outlawed, but just because it's been outlawed doesn't mean that it didn't work, because we've already seen that the numbers are drastically decreasing. This means that every state will also have to ratify the bill, and if they would like, they can even place even stricter laws on abortion. The hope is to have the bill ratified in all 50 United States by the end of the year. Now, to clarify, this does not mean that the states have a choice on whether they ratify the bill or not. It just means we hope to have it ratified by the end of the year in every single state. Of course, because taking laws through every single legislative system in every single state takes a lot of time, we are allotting a little bit more than a year if it takes that long. As I said before, the bill does not allow public officials to enforce the law. This includes government, as in senators, presidents, anything like that. This also does not include military officials or public officials. It will only be enforced by private individuals who have the right to sue if they have concrete evidence that someone is performing illegal abortions after 6 weeks. Now, of course, if there was ever a special case when the mother needed to put her life ahead of the baby's, there would have to be paperwork filed, and there would also have to be scientific proof that it was actually a medical emergency. I would like to clarify that the minimum dollar amount that a woman can be sued for at 6 weeks and a day is $10,000. As you get farther and farther away from the 6-week mark, it continues to increase $1,000 every week after 6 weeks. This means that you can be sued for a maximum of $50,000 at the end of your pregnancy. Along with the banning of abortions, I would also like to limit and ban the sale of certain abortion instruments. Now, when I mean limit, I mean we're not completely banning every single one, because of course there are special cases where you still do need to remove a baby from the uterus, as I said, if the mother's life ever needed to come before the baby's. It would include limits on vacuums, mifepristone and misoprostol, which is the abortion pill, methotrexate, and tools like ringed forceps. Another aspect of this plan is money. Americans pay $500 million in taxes to abortion clinics every single year. Ratifying this bill, banning abortions and limiting the sale of abortion tools by 60% would actually save Americans $300 million every single year. Also, violations and court fees would accumulate over time, which would accumulate money for the government to spend things on the state. So, not only would my plan save millions and millions of lives, it would also save Americans billions of dollars every single year. Thank you.
She was just like,
You say all these statements, but factually, abortion is not based on having a child. If you actually want to show a change and decrease the amount of abortions, you would not implement the Texas Heartbeat Act. You'd actually advocate for increased education on what would occur during birth without actual protection. Or you would seek for more freedom to attain free birth control or condoms or any other device that would supplement those devices, I guess. Which is already being implemented in places like Ann Arbor, Michigan, where those devices are currently being given out in public restrooms or in government buildings. And then you state about how it's the fact that, I'm dropping that. The UN even advocates for abortion. This has been shown in the case of Ireland, one of the most restricted countries on abortion. And the UN even went after them and said that they need to levy up on their restrictions of abortion. So saying that we need to increase ours is going to do nothing more than give us more hostility from other nations in the world. We will not be able to benefit and will become more hated as we already are. We are willing to save, apparently, the mom, but not the baby. However, even though you are pro-life, you are willing to save one over the other. You are not willing to seek out the ability to save both. Taxes, you also mentioned, are going to be replaced instead by legal fees. But that's still being replaced by the same amount of money that is going to be given out, should that occur. So for these reasons, what you stated as solutions are not effective, and I'm done.
thank
Oh,
you.
okay.
I don't think it's done really.
You spoke that the abortion rates are in fact increasing. You compared the rise of over 100,000, but you took that from two completely separate statistics, from the CDC and Michigan statistics. You took one number from a years before and then another number from a completely separate statistic. And that's been shown because if you look at both statistics, there has been a decline in both statistics of over 300,000 to 500,000. There has not been a rise of over 100,000. These are facts. Also, your plan starts at 6 weeks. At 6 weeks, the human is not even formed. That's nothing more than the cells conjoining together, and there is no possibility for the baby to exist outside it. You said that just because at 24 weeks it's considered human, but you didn't say the fact that at 24 weeks, that's when the baby is actually able to survive outside the mother's body without assistance from the mother. And yeah, that's it. I'm done.
Alright, I will not be rebuttaling what my partner said in his last speech.
She already gave up. My bad.
He stated that a baby cannot survive without assistance from the mother at 6 weeks, which is true, but if you think about it, you cannot base human life, you cannot base the value of human life on its ability to survive outside of the mother. Because, I mean, you can even take a 2-year-old, throw it out on the street, and it's not going to be able to survive on its own. So basing human life off of the fact of whether it can survive without its mother or not is not logical. I would also like to add that at 6 weeks, the baby's digestive tract and sensory organs, like its eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin, are fully developed. And at 6 weeks, the heart and all of its functions that it needs to survive are also fully developed. And while he says that I support the death of babies by advocating for the woman's life over the mother's, I did not ever admit to supporting a woman's life over the mother's. I simply stated that if a woman wanted to save her own life over the baby, she had that option. I would also like to add that women are 154% more likely to commit suicide after getting an abortion. I found that at pregnantavq.org. Thank you.
For the reasons that have been stated in my speeches, this is why I believe that our current restrictions on abortion should not change. Abortions would become more dangerous, harm will come to human rights, and that abortion rates are continuously lowering each year instead of increasing. For these reasons, we should not increase our restrictions. Rather, we should keep them the same and see the success that will come, because we have already found that they're decreasing, and they will continue to decrease each and every single year. There is no reason to implement more restrictions and then take away more rights, because as we take more rights away, more and more could potentially be taken away from us as people.
I will now go over a brief overview of the debate that has. Oh my god. Okay, in the past couple minutes, I have proved that within 24 hours of fertilization, a fertilized egg is a life. It is made up of cells. It is reproducing, and within hours, it is a multicellular organism. It is constantly growing and developing from the time that it is fertilized to the time that the future old person dies. It uses lots of energy. It has homeostasis to maintain its internal functions. It's adapting constantly to its environment, and it's responding to stimulus. A fertilized egg is doing all of these things, proving that it is a life. I've also proved that abortion is thoroughly harmful to the mother. It can be psychologically damaging and can leave permanent scars. A woman is 154% more likely to commit suicide after having an abortion. I've also proved that there is no such thing as a safe abortion if abortion always ends in the life of a baby. My plan has already proven to work. Abortion numbers in Texas have decreased drastically, and even though the bill is being overturned, we have seen how effective it was in the time that it was instated. Adopting this law nationwide would save countless lives. So, in conclusion, I call for abortion to be made illegal, and I call for the following proposal. Resolved. The U.S. government should ban abortions after 6 weeks from conception. Adopting this law would save billions and billions of lives. Thank you.